Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, it's Joe. I'm back out here at Giga Texas, and it's another cloudy day, a little bit of rain in the area, but generally a pretty good day to fly and get caught up with what is going on here at the factory. Now, I wanted to start off with talking about the advanced technology chip fabrication facility that is being built here on the east side of Giga Texas. And with these video clips, a good view of what is going on here today as they continue to extend River Road around the area where that chip fab is going to be built. More of the work to relocate some of the materials, the trailers, and some of the vehicles that are over on that east side so that they can have that area cleaned up for that construction. And generally, they're just doing a lot of that preparatory work to be prepared for that chip fab construction probably in the next month or two. Now, we know that this is a $3 billion facility. We've seen a rendering about what that should generally look like here at Giga Texas, but this is not the ultimate terafab that Tesla, with conjunction with SpaceX, is going to be building. And we just got some information yesterday from S.E. Robinson Jr. about a potential location just to the east of College Station, which is maybe about 100 miles or so east of Giga Texas. This is in Grimes County. They are evaluating this location as a possible spot for that terafab, which is going to be an enormous facility, many times larger than Giga Texas right here behind me. We're hearing that it's going to be about a $55 billion initial investment, up to $119 billion when it is completed. And after this was posted, Elon Musk responded back to S.E. Robinson, and he clarified that this is one of several different locations that they are evaluating for that terafab. So I still think we have a ways to go before we'll see any type of construction on that. But as you know, with following me here and the construction speed that happens with these large facilities, if they want to have that done sometime in the 28-29 time frame, if that's the goal, they're going to need to wrap up where they're going to go and then begin the process of preparing that site for construction. So that is what is going on with the terafab and this advanced technology chip fab here at Giga Texas. Now, as far as production, we are seeing some interesting developments with the Cybercabs. We're seeing a lot more of them over in the outbound lot. We're seeing some of them driving on the test track that we've seen some of the other vehicles that Tesla produces. They use that for the final checkouts before the vehicles are sit on the trucks for shipping off-site. We're also seeing groupings of the old engineering matte wrapped gold Cybercabs right next to the new glossy Cybercabs. And since they're parked right next to each other, it's a really great opportunity to see what they look like side by side. Over at the crash test facility, I'm seeing more of those old engineering Cybercabs being grouped over by that facility. That means that they're either going to be using them for some crash testing, some other testing itself, maybe some developmental work, or they're going to get ready to recycle them. And of course, on the east side where they're building the advanced technology fab, we've been seeing some of that recycling work underway as well. Now, there is another thing that I did notice here today over on the west side of Giga Texas, which I think is going to be of interest, and that is this vehicle. It is underneath a car cover. The wheels have covers on them as well, so you can't really see what they look like, but it does definitely look like a different variant of the Model Y. And this picture here from overhead, comparing a Cybertruck and a regular Model Y next to this covered vehicle, gives you a pretty good idea of the size and different configuration. And I'm kind of curious, what do you think is going on here? I have my own ideas, but for now, we'll just wait and see what else develops. So that's about it for the site here today. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what else is going on here at Giga Texas. And as always, thank you very much for your support. I very much appreciate it.
For my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from the southwest side of Giga Texas. A little bit of low clouds and some rain come through the site, but only after I finish flying. So that is a great sign. Today we're going to look at the test track first, where there is some big developments. Specifically, they are starting the asphalt laydown, and you can see some of that in the top left of that infield smaller oval. But here at the bottom of the screen, there are many trucks that are lined up, loaded up, and ready to help support the installation of all of the asphalt. You can tell it's Lone Star Paving. That's actually the asphalt factory just to the north of Tesla Road and near that north bridge. So they don't have very far to go. And this particular company has played a big role in supporting the Tesla construction team in building roads, and in this case, a test track. Here's a wider view showing you all of what is underway here today. And it looks like they're starting at this apex of this larger oval. And then, of course, they'll be working the rest of the oval. It looks like going towards the north and then wrapping around the corner at the top left of the screen. And here's a better view of some of the asphalt laydown that is underway. And I have a ways to go, but it is great to see this. It indicates that the underground stormwater management pipe installation work should be completed as this asphalt is laid down. They don't want to have to cut through that again. But here's a wider view of this sort of infield oval where the ponds are and a lot of that dirt. I still think it would be a great location for a Cybertruck off-road test track, or at least a kind of a test event center. And it would be nice if people were here for a public event or maybe direct delivery to be able to take a Cybertruck out and try it out there. Perhaps they could use it for more of the Cybertruck engineering developments and changes over the years as well. But as I've kind of maneuvered around here, facing back to the east, we'll get a better view of some of the work that is now underway on this end of the interior oval. You can still see some of the remnants of the trenching for the underground stormwater pipe throughout this section. So I kind of maneuver to look back across the entire test track. This is a kind of a wide angle view of what it looks like now. The parking lot at the bottom of the screen, some of it's being used for material staging and the rest of the site. So it's really great to see this making a lot of good progress. And as I kind of turn back towards the main factory, we'll fly over the West Warehouse on Wheels. And much of this is the trailers containing materials and items for production. And it's part of that Warehouse on Wheels concept, which uses the trailers as the warehousing instead of valuable floor space within the factory. As we pass the Cyber Tunnel on the right, we'll get in close to the south end of this part of the outbound lot. See that there are many Model Ys being overflowed, and we see more of the Cybertrucks are being produced and stored here, along with some more of the Model Ys. As far as Cybertruck production is concerned, I am hearing that they are getting ready to gear up that production, so we're going to start seeing a noticeable ramp up in the number of Cybertrucks here to meet the growing demand, especially for that 59,990 all-wheel drive unit, which should start being delivered to customers in June. Here is a great view of 8 Cybercabs. And the nice thing about this is that 4 of them are the older engineering test versions, and 4 of them are the new production version. And since they are right next to each other, I'll give you this close-in view so we can compare the designs and specifically the color. The lighter color ones is that matte wrap, and then the glossy is the new final
production of that molded in color for the thermoplastic injection molding process that they use. And here's a nice overall view of how that really looks different. And I do like the new glossy look. Next to it is we see a test track here with some of the rumble strips in this figure 8. Cybercab is going through the paces here. This is used for all of the various vehicles that Tesla produces as part of the process to prepare for shipping. And yet another one is arriving. So the fact that we're seeing multiple Cybercabs now driving on this test track, plus accumulating around the parking lot, as example here in this part of the lot. We can also see more at the top of the screen by the end of line. This does give us an indication that although it is slow, the Cybercab production is starting to slowly ramp up. And hopefully over the next several weeks, we'll see this continued increase in ramp of production. And we're going to see more and more numbers here as they get ready for shipping. But here's a really good view of all of these just next to the end of line, getting ready for their checkouts. As we fly up over the direct delivery center, a maneuver here on the north end of the end of line, you can see the semi truck over by the mega packs. And as we get to this view, see many Cybertrucks and Model Ys in those sorting lanes on the left-hand side of the end of line. And this is yet another great sign that production is coming up. Now, I am hearing that over the next several weeks, there's going to be a lot more production going on. Some of the workers are going to be doing overtime, and they're going to be doing that so that they can continue to ramp up the production of all 3 of their vehicles, which I think is great to see. The crane is back at that temporary loading platform, but this caught my eye, and I think it's very interesting. I'll zoom in, and this is what this vehicle looks like underneath the cover. The wheels are also covered, and a good profile view of what this appears like, and next to a Cybertruck and a Model Y for comparison. Now, we have seen about a month and a half ago a Model Y long that the body had been shipped in a crate. They've also been seeing many of these driving around in California, so it's possible that this is testing out the Model YL, and maybe we'll see that here in the United States. Hard to say. The moment I drop the drone here, we can see that the exit point for the Model Ys, nothing was happening, but I assure you they were coming out of the factory quite at a high rate, and I was seeing that over in the outbound lot as I was flying in other parts of the site. So for right now, we're going to stay over the berm. I'm going to fly all the way down to the south end where there is a development, and that is that crews have been spraying this grass seed mix onto the ground. This is for erosion control, and it looks like they are going to be covering the entire site. While I flew the drone over, the truck left for replenishing, and then it was back and I could see them spraying again. I also got this opportunity with a Cybercab next to the Fork in the Road statue. And I think this is very iconic because this is that fork in the road where Tesla has chosen to go much more into AI. And the robotaxi fleet, the full self-driving, and the Optimus Robot are outcomes of that decision. So as I come up to a higher altitude, a nice overall view from the south end of Giga Texas. We're going to maneuver around over towards the east side. We're going to see how River Road's paved work is completed at least over to Robotic Avenue. They have put the lane markings in, and there is traffic now that is flowing along this part of River Road over to Robotic Avenue. So that work is continuing. While I was here, I thought I would fly over the pond and come back and look at what is being stored here at this material staging yard. Looks like 3 tanks have been added, more of the wooden crates on the right, and some building materials on the left. So this is continuing to be an active site with a lot more materials showing up over time. So we look across Robotic Avenue, we can see the work on the left by the parking garage and some of the drainage pipes underneath the road. Here is the intersection, some HDPE pipe on the bottom left, and those are waiting for their time to be installed. More of the steel corrugated pipes on the right, and of course the curbs for the road are evident, and the walls for this new water retention pond. And this is some closer views of that work underway to extend the walls all the way over to the west side. And eventually it's going to completely enclose this entire pond. Then I think it will be lined, and we will watch that work. It'll be very similar to a much larger version of the Cyber Pond at the south end of the factory. We can see here that blue and black cover over one Cybercab. The rest, all the 11 other ones that were here, have been recycled now. We're going to see more of those showing up at the crash test facility as they continue to recycle the older matte engineering versions of the Cybercabs, as now they are beginning to produce new ones with the production line. This is a great high altitude view to the north across this entire west side, where more of the materials and the workshops, machinery, equipment, and trailers all are being prepared to be removed here. We're going to see where some of this is going on the far northeast a little later in the video, but all this is necessary to prepare for that advanced technology chip fab construction. We do see some more drilling rigs here right in the middle of the screen, and that is work that is being done to do core samples of the soil to make sure that they have the correct design to support the foundation for the building. Much of the buildings that you see and materials at the bottom of the screen need to be removed. The white items next to the tree in the bottom center, we've seen that is being moved over the west side, just south of where the two white tents are and that material staging yard, and more of this will follow. As I fly over the trees and back over Robotic Avenue, just wanted to show another view of this material staging yard, also where many of the trailers are being located. This is to, again, allow for that east side to be cleared out for that construction. And many of these trailers and materials are being put all over the site. We'll see more of that here a little later. The trench work on the north of the parking garage continues for electrical conduit. And as we fly over that material staging yard that we visited earlier, I'll zoom in and show you that the gantry crane, the SPMT, and most of the items that were here being unpacked and worked on in that plastic wrapped workshop have all been removed. So that work may be completed. We do see a Cybercab entering into the exit point here at where the Cybercabs will depart the factory for the first time. And we'll just keep watching that, and hopefully one of these days we're going to see a long stream of them exiting at that point. The chillering units here for the thermoplastic injection molding continue to be worked on, and as we fly to the north along the east side, past the secondary entrance and up towards this section, we can see those crates and other materials stockpiled by the wall, and more of the castings on the right. All of these are for Model Ys. Some other deliveries that are taking place right now, and work at the melt center with some of the old castings and other materials on the ground in the middle of the screen getting ready for recycling. And it looks like they're going to need to bring in more of those aluminum wheels so that they have the scrap aluminum to continue making those castings. So I'm going to fly up over the power lines and we'll reposition for some interesting views on this north side. As I zoom in, we see some of the racking systems for the bodies, also for the castings, more of the paint stands for the bumpers for the Model Ys, and also a large grouping of these forms for the Cybercab. And kind of maneuver around here. Some of them appear to have a kind of a gold sheen to them. The others are more of the metal look to it. And it may be giving us a little idea of how they are using these as far as producing the Cybercab body parts. And this is, of course, not injection molded items, but it is items that are used for the body panel. So quite interesting that they are being stored here on this north side. Maybe that indicates that they're no longer needed as they've got the production line up and running. As we get back to the north end of the paint shop, we can tell that there are more of the paint stands here for the bumpers in the middle of the screen, more castings on the left. And we also see a body section of the rear of a Model Y right here. Now, there was a full body a while ago. It looks like that maybe had been chopped And I don't know why they are doing this. Maybe they're doing some testing with the rear part of the body and with the castings, but that is a new development. As we pass the plastics machine manufacturing section of the factory to the 4680s, see large spools of cabling. And we've seen other materials, also 2 of those blue fans being loaded up here and moved inside as they continue to build out more of the 4680 production capability here at the factory. So I'm going to fly back to the east over Tesla Road, get up to a higher altitude. We'll look up to the north across the Cortex to the die shop and battery cathode plant to the Optimus Foundation. And we're going to spend a little bit more time on the east side, then we'll work our way all the way up to the north and see what is going on up there today. Really great views from this higher altitude of all of the construction that is going on to the north and where it is in relation to the battery cathode plant and Cortex 2. We also see River Road's extension on the right and center bottom of the screen continuing to make progress. And of course, the shed on the left next to the trees still needs to be removed, but almost all of the remnants of the old concrete truck maintenance facility are now gone. We can see more earth removal from what remains of those large pile that was here. Of course, more of the blue water pipe being installed in the trench through this section. As I kind of maneuver my way back around over where that maintenance facility used to be, we can get a good look here at a lower altitude of how River Road is continuing its progress to this north and northeast. 2 lanes are starting to emerge, and that will be very consistent to what we saw on the south end. That will continue all the way up to Lone Tree Field. To make that happen, they've had to fill in a pond in this section. They also used a lot of geotextile membranes to strengthen and stabilize the soil here. Looks like they're bringing in some gravel, and that helps to strengthen the soil as well. And this brings us up to that small dam on the left that they used to split that pond into 2. Looks like more of the earthwork through this section and tree clearing has taken place. We just have this one smaller section that looks like they may be starting to prepare to remove more trees to bring the road all the way up here to Lone Tree Field. On this field, we see some developments. We saw in my previous video that large clearing in the upper right, and it's also near where they did the tree and vegetation mulching. On the left, we see that section with a lot more of the trailers, and that's because there is a new permit that is talking about the Northeast trailers. And this is part of the redistribution of materials on the east side to clear up room for that construction project. I'll put the permit on the upper left so you can see what that looks like. And many of the trailers are coming into view here in this new clearing. This is also where we see another refilling depot with those red tanks and that kind of mobile lifting unit in the yellow at the bottom of the screen. The recycling and crushing of the concrete and clearing up a lot of the debris work continues here in this part of the site. And as I maneuver around to look back to the northwest, I'll bring the drone up for this bird's eye view of the entire foundation and all of the work that is being done. There's several different segments of this foundation that are getting different kinds of work. Now, starting here at the south end, past this very large mound of dirt, we can see the work continues in this large excavation, adding more of the gravel in, different kinds of gravel, and strengthening this up and preparing it for more of the construction. You also see that there's different levels of the grade on the bottom right, and that center kind of plus excavation is still getting a lot of work. The footings on this side have been mostly installed. A lot of the concrete, some still of the water standing on them from all the rains, but we're starting to see these first of what I call kind of like the dog bone foundations with the bar in between, the bottom left of the screen. or bottom right of the screen, excuse me. And also we see the continued geopier with many of the piers starting to be visible with those circular depressions in the middle of that large excavation. Of course, more of the rebar cages and the footings on the north part, and they are continuing to build that up towards the north, as you can see. The very far north, where we have the diamond edges of the foundation, looks like it's mostly being filled in with gravel. Kind of suggests that maybe there's a different strength requirement for the slab in this part of the site. As I bring it up to a higher altitude, a good view looking from the northwest to the southeast across the slab, and also here directly to the south. As I've mentioned a couple of times before, it would not surprise me if this building is constructed with a multiple phase process. Phase 1 is what we see right now, and in the top of the screen you can see all those trees that extends back to the battery cathode plant and Cortex 2. It would not surprise me if a phase 2 would extend this foundation further to that direction, but we will continue to watch that as things develop. More of the footings are being prepared here on this side of the foundation, more of the rebar and materials on the bottom of the screen. And we can see some rebar cages now into that large plus-like foundation. Of course, another view of this south side with all of the work that they're doing with different kinds of gravel to prepare this for the next phase of construction. And again, this tree-lined area, which may be a second phase of the building, working all the way back down towards the battery cathode plant, Cortex 2, and the die shop that you can see in the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to fly back towards the south and over to the west over this large field, which itself someday could be used for future construction, to get over to the concrete batch plant, and also just a great view from this point of view to the south along much of the east side of Giga Texas. Of course, the batch plant at the bottom of the screen has been responsible for quite a bit of the concrete that has been used for construction, and it continues to be used. And it also brings us very close to the electrical switch yard, which has doubled in size. You can tell the two different sides, one on the right with the lighter color gravel and the other in the dirt, and how it is, for the most part, doubled it in size as a mirror image, but there are some differences. And I'm still waiting to see how all the power is being brought in from the power lines through the original site over to the new site. Of course, on the south end, we have the three very large transformers, the control trailers, and some of the main connections. I'll zoom in here and show you the work today seems to be with the connections on the items here to the south of the main transformer itself. And at the top of the screen, you can get a sense of what that will look like when it is completed. Now, the breakers on the right seem to all be connected today, which they're kind of like swing type connectors. And it's very interesting to see that those have been turned to be in connection. Doesn't not mean that there's power going there. It's just probably part of the installation work that they are doing. So we fly back over the water detention pond here. We'll get to the north end of the Cortex 2, where we see all those materials and containers that have been brought in. And of course, more materials are brought in through the north doors for the interior. And we've seen some permits that talk about at least the 5th data hall. So there's at least 5 different data halls, which is groupings of computers within Cortex 2. The work to prepare for the mega packs is continuing. It's different this time because they're responsible, or they're concentrating on the transformers, electrical boxes, and the platforms first before they bring the mega packs in. And that's probably because the original mega packs, which we see coming into view here, they wanted to get going quickly so they could get Cortex 2 partially operational, which it is. Going to continue to fly around here on the south side. You can see the work and some trenching next to that pond on this south side, and an overall view of how this complex is coming together with the mega packs and transformers on the left, the risers going over the parapet wall, the cooling pipes that come over to the temporary coolers, and part 1 of the cooling system here, which is supporting the operation of the computers. Today we see 3 fans operational and some kind of vapors coming up out of one of them. The workshop that was in the middle here with those green containers looks like it's in the process of being dismantled. They're also doing more work on trenching and grade work here in the middle section. The part 2 of the cooling system is continuing with its superstructure assembly. Almost the entire fiber reinforced polymer beams have been installed. Now 6 of the openings for the fans are visible, and the ones on the left are being cut so that they are circular, and they have a safety railing being put up. So that work is continuing, although they still need to do a lot of work with the internal piping. And that is another difference, because on phase 1 they did the piping before and during the installation of the fiber reinforced panels for that superstructure. So we get over to the northeast corner of the battery cathode plant. We see more of those green transformers waiting to be installed on that west side of Cortex 2. The new temporary platform on the right, and here next to the crash test facility, we see some of those Cybercabs being lined up on the center and right of the screen. And maybe, as I talked about before, preparing to recycle those now that production of the glossy versions of the Cybercab is coming along, and they no longer need those older engineering versions. So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll fly back to the northeast, revealing much of the area that we did visit today, including River Roads Extension coming towards us. I hope you enjoyed what we were able to see. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great day.